Okay, punta na tayo ngayon sa ating next lesson. And that is the fourth lesson. Philosophy helps you question what you know. Okay? So, tinatanong ng filosofiya kung anong alam ninyo. Good morning! Correct. Morning po. Talpasin na po. 3 in 1. Okay, yan si Father Adalbert nagwo-walking sa dito sa Santa Ana with Sir Elmer sa finance. Okay, sorry. Kakape ko kasi 3 in 1. Siyempre gusto ni Father ang brewed coffee. Pwede naman sanang brewed pero it takes time. Kailangan ko lang ng kape. So let's go back. My dear grade 11 learners at sa mga senior high school. Yan, okay. So philosophy helps you question what you know. Yung mga alam ba ninyo, mga pinag-aaralan ninyo sa senior high school, no? Kahit sa religion. Ito ba ay tama? Ito ba ay totoo? O kung mga kwentong barbero lang ito. Okay, mga alam ninyo sa pag-ibig and others. Kaya sabi ni Socrates, the only thing that I know is that I know nothing. Diba? Sabi pa nga ni Socrates, know thyself. Very important yan. Know yourself. Okay? So, mas maganda yung feeling, yung attitude, yung disposition or yung stance na parang wala kang alam. Kasi kapag wala kang alam, doon ka mag-uumpisa na magre-research, mag-i-inquire, magtatanong. Kaya my dear grade 11 learners, sana yung malatanong kayo, no? Mahilig kayo magtanong ng mga bakit, especially the question why. That is a philosophical question. Why? No? There's God. Why there's God? Because created everything. Why He created everything? Because out of love. Why does He love us? So, pro why? No? Kasi ang pangit ng attitude na alam mo lahat, know all. No? Parang hindi mo naman alam lahat. Tulad ko, I am a teacher, hindi ko naman alam lahat. The beautiful thing about philosophy is that it is in a permanent state of questioning. So, laging nagtatanong, question. That is important. Yun sanang meron sa inyo, my dear grade 11 learners. No? Yung questions. No? Palatanong kayo. No? Because in questioning, you will know the answer. There is no form of knowledge so assured that philosophy hasn't grabbed it by the neck and had its way with it a few times. Diba? 2,000 years na ang philosophy. More than 2,000 years. And kahit yung mga established philosophical truths ay kine-question pa rin at or pinapalalim pa rin ang pag-iintindi, ibang perspective, ibang method. So napaganda ng filosofiya. So kung may maiiwan sa inyo, my dear grade 11 learners, senior high school students, is yung magtanong. Yan ang filosofiya. Take for example, René Descartes, no? Yan ang kanyang photo. In 1641, matagal na ito, hindi pa ako pinapanganak, pati mga lolo at lolo nyo. Kadi-discover pa lang ng Pilipinas, no? 1521. Descartes decided to tackle the first of the primary philosophical questions. Ano yun? What do I know is true? Ano bang alam kong totoo? Kasi kung minsan, yung mga alam natin, baka hindi totoo. Yan. Yang dagat na yan, totoo ba yan? No? Baka ini-invento lang ako, ini-edit ko lang. No? So what do I know is true? Within about 10 pages of writing, si René Descartes quickly realized that there was almost nothing that you could come up with, that you could not imagine, a way that it wasn't true. The room you're sitting in, it could be a hallucination. Your memories could be invented or made up. Yung memories. Kaya minsan yung memories, no, yung may nakausap akong isang pari na may ginawa, may sinabi sa akin na nasaktan ako. Naalala ko yun, pero siya hindi niya maalala. So, minsan, ano yun, no? The news you read or hear about, an elaborate lie. Mga fake news tulad noon na sinabi na patay na si Mr. Bean. No? Fake news, pero hindi pala totoo. Sabi nila, yan daw isang pamamaraan ng pag-a-advertise, pagpasikap ng isang aktor. Descartes went so far as to posit what we know as the Matrix scenario. Diba? Maganda rin na panoorin yung Matrix trilogy. Yan ay isang philosophical movie ni Keanu Reeves. That we could be asleep and this entire life a dream. Diba? Yan ang ginagawa ng Matrix. Para bang natutulog sila, no? Para makapunta sila sa Matrix. In fact, even our choices and decisions could be controlled by some evil, manipulative force. Our self-control could merely be an illusion. He created a thought experiment of an evil demon who could be tricking you into believing that you are alive and free, enjoying this fine afternoon drinking a milkshake, yet none of it it's real. Therefore, when it come down to it, Descartes realized that the only thing he could say with absolute certainty was that he existed. Yan ang importante. Absolute certainty. Na buhay tayo. Lahat tayo buhay. Maybe the room was fake. Maybe the world was a dream. Maybe his friends and family never existed. Okay. But by the given fact that he could even ask these questions in the first place, na nagdududa siya, the fact that something was conscious and aware, he must exist in some form. Diba? He then wrote one of the most famous lines ever. Cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Or I doubt, therefore I am. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng cogito, ergo sum. Pwedeng gawin yung magical word siya. Tayo mga philosophy students. Cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Descartes' deconstruction of knowledge cleaned the slate and made way for a burst of intellectual creativity in Europe, which has since become known as the Enlightenment. Descartes believed that his insight would provide a fresh beginning for metaphysics. Kasi ang metaphysics nun is kay St. Thomas Aquinas, Thomistic metaphysics. Nagaling kay Aristotle, of course. So, gustong mag-umpisa si Descartes ng panibagong metaphysics. Descartes believed that his insight will provide a fresh beginning for metaphysics, or the what can we know that is true question, and will lay the foundation for a new form of understanding, an understanding based on logic, reason, and evidence. So yan ngayon ang isang way of knowing ni René Descartes based on logic, reason, and evidence. Hindi na tulad ni St. Thomas Aquinas that he also based his metaphysics on faith, on revelation. Descartes believed our only access to truth was through mathematics, that our perceptions were unreliable. Sa kanya, mathematics is very important. And indeed, it would. Descartes will be hugely influential on a new methodology of understanding that would later come to be known as natural philosophy. No? So, hindi siya gumagamit ng supernatural, ng faith, kundi natural philosophy. So, hindi sila gumagamit ng theology, or what we today refer to as science. Roughly 100 years after Descartes, the Scottish philosopher David Hume, at the tender age of 29, published a treatise of human nature, where he demolished the idea of cause-effect and the assumption that we can predict anything at all. Hume said, logically speaking, that it is impossible to prove that anything will occur in the future, no matter how often or how regularly it has occurred in the past. If the sun has risen in the east every day for millions of years, that still doesn't prove it will rise again in the east tomorrow. It simply makes it insanely probable that it will rise. It will rise in the east. Yan si David Hume. We can never be certain something will happen. No? So ngayon, kinu-question na ang certainty. No matter how many times it's happened before. Okay? The best we can do is come to extremely probable approximations. Just as Descartes showed that we can never be certain that our perceptions are true, okay? Hume showed that we can never be certain that our understanding of cause or effect is true either. No? So para bang mas pinalalim pa ni Hume ang mistrust sa understanding. Kay Descartes is we can never be certain that our perceptions are true. Kay Hume naman, we can never be certain that our understanding of the cause and effect is true either. As the 18th century proceeded, Hume's influence grew, and soon his arguments became impossible to ignore. Not much later, a young man in Prussia named Immanuel Kant read Hume's ideas and said it jolted him awake from a dogmatic slumber. It ignited a desire to pick up the mantle of understanding, human knowledge, and push further to discover how we can know anything at all. Hume's writing inspired Kant to become a philosopher. Okay, tingnan ninyo ang influence ng mga philosophers. Another fun fact, before he was into philosophy, Kant was into astronomy. In fact, he was the one who figured out how the planets of the solar system were formed. Yan si Immanuel Kant, one of his famous books, The Critic of Pure Reason. Kant took Descartes and Hume's ideas and went even further. So from Descartes to Hume to Immanuel Kant, he said that there is a difference between our perceptions of something and the thing in itself. So meron daw difference ng perception natin sa bagay at sa bagay mismo. Like for example, yung dagat na yan, may perception ako, nakikita ko, naririnig ko. So yan, nakikita ng mata ko, naamoy ko kasi may hangin dito. Pero ano ba talaga yung bagay mismo? Ano ba talaga yung dagat? So there's a difference between my perception of the sea, ang dagat, at yung dagat mismo. Okay, maganda na rito kasi mas nakikita ninyo. Okay? I can see the tree outside my office window. I am experiencing the light reflecting off on the surface of the tree and interacting with my retinas to stimulate the nervous system in such a way that the appearance of a tree is generated in my mind. I can theoretically reach out and touch the tree. That is, I can experience the nerve to the tree's atoms that the subatomic forces push them apart and signal to my nervous system that I am touching the tree. But I can never know the tree. Tulad din yan ng dagat na yan. I can never experience life as the tree experienced life. So paano ba magiging dagat? No matter how much sensory data I gather about the tree, tulad ng kapatid ko, may tinnitus siya. So wala akong tinnitus, so hindi ko alam. I can never experience the tree. I can only experience the data. I am limited by my biological equipment to only interpret the tree with the means I have: sight, touch, sense, taste, etc. Therefore, One could say that I do not know that there is a tree. All I know is that there are cognitive reflections occurring in my mind of a tree. The tree's true existence, its fundamental treeness, is forever unavailable to me. Is it a tree or just a figment of our perception? These inquiries into human understanding raise many important points. No? Ito yung the thing itself and our perception of the thing. But here are two. First, in the past century, psychologists have caught up to what these philosophers were saying, that we are limited and confined by our biological and neurological hardware. Any notion of objective truth will always be bent and twisted by the need to fit our limited sensory faculties. Kaya yung mga psychology, no, na limited tayo at confined tayo sa ating biological and neurological hardware. Kaya minsan yung mga may problema sa utak, may nakikita sila na, no, nakikita sila ng multo na pwedeng ma-question, no? Hindi naman nakikita. Tapos kumbento, sabi nila may multo raw. Wala pa naman ako nakikitang multo. Our perceptions are flawed. Our memories often imagined. No? Our ability to reason often impaired. Okay. Much of what we believe to be true at face values is inaccurate at best and completely delusional at worst. Kaya yung maalam natin, no, nakikita natin, no. Tulad ko, mahina yung aking mata, hindi ko nakikita sa malayo. Pero ibig sabihin na hindi ko nakikita sa malayo ay hindi na nag-exist. Kaya Donald Hoffman's book, The Case Against Reality, presents a fascinating argument about how we almost certainly do not experience reality or even a close approximation of it. This has real-world implications as we struggle to ascertain what is really going on around us, what is real and what is fiction, what is propaganda and what is legitimate inquiry. It is a call for us to be vigilant, critical, and humble of our own beliefs. Kapag hindi tayo sigurado, baka nakakamali tayo sa ating pagkakaalam sa katotohanan, no? Kaya maging vigilant tayo, critical tayo, at humble tayo sa ating mga paniniwala. As George Orwell said, to see what is in front of one's nose, di ba? Tinitingnan ko, hindi ko makita, requires constant struggle. No, try nyo tingnan ang iyong mga ilong. Ibang hirap, lalo na pag hindi matangos ang iyong ilong. Kung flat ang iyong ilong, hindi mo makikita. Nakikita mong ilong mo kapag nasa salamin. Pero tignan mong ilong mo through your own eyes ay hindi mo nakikita. Ganon din daw ang reality, ang knowledge. Ayan si George Orwell. If people cannot write well, they cannot think well. If they cannot think well, others will do their thinking for them. Because human understanding is limited, we must be careful about what we choose to accept as true. Okay? Generally, philosophy has concluded that science is the best method of ascertaining and acting on knowledge, but it also admits that in most situations, solid scientific evidence is not going to be available or possible. Maganda na may science, pero hindi lahat ay pwedeng sagutin ng science. Tulad ng kung may Diyos ba talaga o wala. Okay? Sinong nag-create ng mundo? Mga importanteng beliefs natin sa faith. Philosophy reminds us that many of our most closely cherished beliefs about freedom. May freedom ba talaga or we are just programmatic? Programmatic. Morality, ano ba talaga ang mali at tama? And especially God. May Diyos ba talaga o wala? Is God of the Christian, is the God really? Or the God of the Muslim? Are not fundamentally provable by any sort of epistemological method. Hindi ito mapuprove ng science. Kaya there is faith, there is belief. Kaya dapat careful tayo kung ano ang ating pinaniwalaan. Everything, to a certain extent, must be taken with some degree of faith. Kaya faith is inevitable. Therefore, we need to be smart about what belief systems we buy into and which belief systems we ignore. Okay? All of this is a very roundabout way of saying that not only is it more accurate to remain uncertain of most issues and circumstances, but it's also more beneficial to you and the people around you. Unfounded certainty breeds tyrannical, narcissistic behavior. Unfounded certainty alienates you from the perspective and beliefs of others. Unfounded certainty prevents you from learning and growing from your failures. So wag tayong manigarado sa bagay na hindi naman tayo sigurado. Always question your knowledge of things. Tama ba ito? No? Even the Christian faith, ask it. No? Tama ba ang Christian faith, ang Catholic faith? Research about it. Hindi pwedeng, mali yan. Hindi ka pa naman nag-research. That is what philosophy teaches us. It's on this point that Buddhism was perhaps 2,000 years ahead of the West when it explicitly pushed a philosophy of not knowing and detachment from any tangible desire in the real world. No? So maganda yung wala akong alam. I know nothing. Whether you believe you know to be true, you don't. None of us do. We're all floundering around in a metaphysical abyss, and we must each construct some form of understanding out of nothing to keep us afloat. If it is impossible to definitively answer the question what is true, then the best question is what is worth believing. No? Kung hindi natin alam kung ano ba talagang totoo, kasi hindi kaya pwedeng alam ng science, so ano yung what is worth believing? Yun ang importante ngayon. So yan po ang lesson 4. Kaya ang lesson 5, sa next YouTube video ko is Philosophy Helps You Choose How to Live.